Hey, how's it going? This is Kayaz, and in this video, I'm going to be talking about the black light, which is fire. The reason why fire is called the black light is because when you have something burning due to fire, it is something that burns black. And through this black, which is BLACK or BLAZE, which is a blaze. So when something is ablaze, it burns black, and this black is the black flame. This is the black fire. And this is a type of fire that we discovered as our own technology on this earth that was discovered in Africa. And the people who started to use fire were people who were living in those ancient times, and they discovered this technology, and this changed everything. This changed how they lived their life, how they hunted, how they ate, how they transformed their society, how they transformed their minds, how they discovered other inventions because of this ability to harness the fire, which is the light of the night. So, so when we have fire, we have something that is black, and this blackness is burning. So when it's burning, it gives this luminous glow of red, orange, gold, yellowish. This flame has these colors, and this is a soft light. So when we look at the African creation story, and if you haven't heard the African creation story, then you should watch that video called the African creation story. And what it tells you is how life came about, and this is how the first man met the first woman. So when they met with the first woman, what happened is that they had a fire in between them. So they had a fire, a flame, and a blaze that was in between them. So this fire was separating them. So one person was on the other side of the fire and another was on the other side of the fire. So we already know that fire is like a torch. So torch is Torch, which is where we get Taurus. A torus is a circle. So a fire is a circle. So inadvertently, these people were making a circle. So one person was on one side of the circle, another person was on the other side of the circle. So this was the depiction or the picture of yin yang, or the balance of male and female. So one on the other side of the circle of fire. So everyone, when they sit around a fire, they sit around a circle, and this is in a house where there's a fireplace and the chimney and stuff. But they were in a circle, and then they were male and female. So through this fire actually represents something much more than just fire. Fire has always represented sex, because fire is sex. So when someone is on fire, like their heart is on fire, they are feeling on fire. So this is showing us passion. So passion is like the heat of the moment, the heat of something, because fire produces light, it produces heat, and it produces smoke. So this is the heat. Okay, so there was heat in this moment. So in this is what it's actually representing. So we've always, as people, we've always been attributing certain states of temperature, certain conditions, to certain conditions inside, because we are also fire. We are all the elements, so we are also fire. So this is how you can say that, this person is so cold. The person gave me a cold shoulder, a cold look, or this person gives me the chills. All of this is a temperature, hot and cold, the same thing, but in different degrees. So this is how you can also say, this person's so hot-headed, okay, a hothead, and like Sonny in Godfather. And this is how you can also say that this is a very warm person. The person greeted me warmly. This is a warm-hearted person. So all of these are attributes of heat and temperatures and conditions that are natural, and we give these attributes to people. So in the same way, we have these attributes that are transcending in the different way that we understand things. So for example, we can say that an animal was in heat, which means that an animal wanted to have sex, was eager for that sexual mating. And when we have this understanding, we know that heat is that. So heat is a state of the condition within the body. So this heat could be something that is passion. So this passion could be something that is seen as zeal, passionate. So this is the statement that I am God and I am a jealous God. So there was no J back in the day, and what we had was zeal. So I am a zealous God. So what it's talking about is that I have a burning heart, like my heart burns for you. This is zeal, or this is jealousy. When you're jealous, it means that you burn because of your passions, your emotions. So this is how it's actually embodied in a person. So all that we call fire is this. So fire is a black light. It burns black and it burns in a different color. So fire is actually a different type of understanding because it came as technology, it came as advancement, it came as transcendence or development. So it's very important at this stage to realize that fire is light and heat. Okay, so let's focus on light. So light is embodied through fire, and we know that our understanding of the world came through a person who was in the garden, or a serpent that was in the garden, who is called Satan, or aka Lucifer, which actually means the light bearer. So the light bearer is someone who actually has a light that they are actually carrying. So this would look like someone with a torch. So think of the Statue of Liberty. So this is a light bearer. So this is what it's depicting. That could be Liberty, or that could be Lucifer. I don't know, but then that is a light bearer. So the same way that Lucifer came is that he came with the light bearer. So you have to understand that this is the nature of fire, that it can burn you, man. Like, it can really burn you, and at the same time it can give you light, it can give you life, because you burn, like you cook food on the fire so that your body has life, right? So this is something that you have to understand, that fire is dual, because it burns, it's hot, it's hostile. At the same time, it can be warm. It can save your life. So this is Diablos. This is double. So this is life and death. So understanding this, that in a certain area, like if people are in the coldest areas, like if you're in Alaska or something, or in Norway, you need to have fire or else you die. At the same time, if you're in a hot place, you don't necessarily need fire over the night because you're already in the warmth. So there's warmth, there's heat, there's hot, there's cold. So understanding this is very key, and putting this into your mind and placing it in the correct way. So when we have fire, what we're talking about is this substance that is created through chemical reactions. So in order to create fire, what we need is oxygen and carbon. And then when this fire combusts, it creates carbon dioxide. This carbon dioxide creates all of these problems that we now have in this world, that because of the CO2 emissions, which is carbon dioxide from whichever sources, which are actually because of combustion or burning, we now have global warming. So this heat is a fire. So this fire is actually threatening us. At the same time, this heat is produced by the things that are giving us life, because people want cars apparently. So this is what's happening because of that. So through this understanding, you know that this fire is a substance that is created as a chemical reaction. So in order for us to understand the true essence of fire, the black light, then we have to understand that it's actually chemistry. It's a chemical reaction. So you have oxygen and you have carbon. Okay, so as above, so below, on earth as it is in heaven, everything is replicated. So in the same way that you actually eat food, right? When you eat anything and it's in your body, what actually happens is that there are chemical reactions in your body that combust this food, or that actually burn the food for you. And this food is burnt and it's put into a different state that different organs in your body and parts in your body are able to utilize in the right way. So it's important to eat certain things, because this is actually the light that is inside of you, your heat. This is your fuel, because fire is fuel. So this fuel inside of you is supposed to be able to to give you the energy. So this is why vegetables are very important, because they have oil. And the same way that you put oil in a car, or oil, black oil, right? The black light, right? So black oil is where we get the fuel for the cars. In the same way, the vegetable oils are where we get fuel for the body. So it's important for you to realize that all of the things that are coming into you are going to be transformed into a different form. So all of this is causality. So causality means that everything is happening because something has already happened. So we live in an infinite world, if you choose to look at it that way. So the same way that you convert everything into your body. So you eat a vegetable, and then this vegetable is burnt and transformed into something in your body. It's the same way that you create the fire. So you actually go to a tree, right? And then you just take this branch, and then you transform it into something, and you transform this branch into a flame. So you have this substance that is transformed into a fuel, which is fire, generally fire. So this fire is a fuel for you, and this fire also has the function of doing that same thing again, that the fire itself is now able to transform a sausage into edible food. So it's transformed that. And while this sausage has been transformed by the fire, it comes into your body, and then it's transformed from the sausage into another fuel, okay? And then while that fuel is now in your body, and now it's making your brain work, your brain is now able to transform something else to something else. So this is an ongoing process. So what we first have is a log, okay? A log from a tree, which is wood, which is material, which is the substance of fire. And what we have at the end is your mind, because what you're feeding is your mind. Your mind is comprised of your stomach, your heart, and your brain. So what you're feeding is your mind. So at the end of the day, at the beginning of the day, you have a log. At the end of the day, you have logic, logos, understanding words and thoughts. So this is how it actually happens, that the fire, this is how it is, that it keeps on transforming, it keeps on transmuting. So when we talk about black light, when we talk about chemicals, we are talking about alchemy, because alchemy is from chemistry. Chemistry means black earth. So black earth, the black continent, this is where alchemy comes from. So understanding this basic thing is us knowing that all chemistry is African, or is from the black light, so which is fire. Because the alchemy means that you're transmuting one substance into another. So this is what's happening whenever you take a branch from a tree and you put it into action. You give it a certain attribute that transforms the branch into something else. So fire is all about this chemical reaction. So we have carbon and oxygen, carbon dioxide, right? So also the African creation story has fire being in the middle of the two of them. So this fire was actually how they were able to see, because this is light and this is heat. And heat is something that is sexual, light is something that is sight, which is attractive, and smoke is something else. Okay, smoke is something else. So they were, and this is a trinity, by the way. So they were in this situation. And what we have when we have fire is a sexual situation. This is why we call people who are in this situation, like a boy and a girl who are liking each other, they have chemistry, because it's all chemical, and these chemicals are in your mind because it's alchemy. So this is the dark place in your mind, because there is no like light in your mind. The light is outside. So this chemistry is happening, and what you have when you create fire is that you kindle a flame. So when you're kindling something, what you're gonna do is you're gonna look for friction. So you're gonna move two sticks together, you rub two sticks together, right? Two figures together, just rubbing, or as two stones together, just rubbing or striking or sparking them, and sparks of chemistry, like, yeah, I saw sparks in the eyes or something. So all of this is chemistry. And when this is happening, what you have is the friction or the motion that causes a match. So matching or mating, which is what causes this friction to cause a transmutation or a transformation in the chemistry or in the bodies, which forms another person, which is birth, or which forms another thing that is, we can say it's birth, right? When two people have sex, because they ignite this latent ability, and then they do it, and then through this they have something that is born. And in the same way, we have two sticks that rub together, and we have something that burns. So all of this is in line with how fire works, and this is the fire. And fire is always romantic. This is why candlelit dinners are something that triggers that ability, because through the first man and the first woman, they only had fire, and this is what was lighting Adam and Eve or whatever. In Adam and Eve's story, I don't know if they actually had fire, but obviously they needed fire in or out of paradise. So they had light. So understanding this, that the fire is kindling chemistry, and the fire is actually something that is embodied as eternity, because as long as you have the substance, or what is substantial, it is what you keep on adding to the flame, the fuel, right? So this is what we call like worship. So this worship is constant and ongoing. This worship is breath, because you're actually creating a chemical reaction when you breathe in, when you breathe out, because it's all oxygen and carbon. Again, just the fire. This is how you get inspired. This is fire. So spire, which is to turn, and fire, which is the circle, and they were around the fire. So understanding that all of this is a chemical reaction, and while you're doing this, what you're doing is continuously kindling the fire. So when you're kindling the fire, it means that you're constantly adding more firewood, or more logos, more logic, more logs to the fire, so that it keeps on burning. So this can happen for, and this can happen for all eternity, because the more that you add onto it, the more that you add more word. So having the word of God in you is very important, because it keeps on kindling the fire. And this is eternal, because you keep on getting deeper and more profound revelations, because the fire keeps on burning and burning and burning and burning. So the fire is essentially showing eternity. It's showing eternity. It's showing the cycle, because it's a circle. It's a torus. So this is the flame and the fire, and it's showing this eternity also because it's kindling things. So it's kindling, which is Kin, which is kin, which is a cousin, which is a person in your family, which is a kin. A kin is a person who is within your family, and a person who you share blood with. This is a person who is born, or a person who in the same way burns. Like, this is the same logos, or the same family tree, because we use wood in order to make fire. So this is the same family tree, the kin. And from this kin we have a king, and every king has to be a part of this family tree. So all of the kings are kindred, or are sparked, because they are in the same log. They have the same fire. They're in the same flame. So this is how it works, and everything is this ability. So understanding that this fire is sex. This is purely sex. Like, the African creation story is talking about, like, this. The whole story is so sexual, it's crazy. But the fire part is so subtle. But then that's the most sexual part in the whole story. And the second woman who comes was a woman who's just full of fire, and she ends up having sex with a snake. So the African creation story is sexually infused. It's crazy. So fire is all about infusion. Okay, so fusion, which means that two things coming together. So when you create fire, you need friction, you need that mating. they mate. You mate two sticks, or you mate two stones. You strike a matches with a matchbox. You need mating. So there is no fire without mating, and this is how everything is created, or everything burns, or everything is born. So this is the matrix that we're in. The fire changed everything. It changed how we saw the world because of the way that it actually is. That you have to mate in order to create fire. You kindle fire, and this kindling creates a matrix. This matrix creates the king. This king creates everything. So the fire is very important, and this is the black fire, the black light, and through this understanding, the people mate, and then they have the offspring, and this is an infusion. When the male and the female are infused, then they create something. Something is born. Something is burns, because the whole act of sex is actually friction. It's actually heat. It's heat. That's why the winter is the most sexual time in the world, in the whole year, because it's cold. So people produce heat or produce fire. So this is the flame that is burning. So this is the fire that we have, the inspiration, and this is the fire that we have that creates everything to be given birth to. Everything is born because everything is mating, and we see everything. We have heat, we have light, and we have smoke. So smoke is important because remember that we have the log, and then at the end of the day we have the logic, and then after we have this logic, what we have is continuously kindling the flame. And if you look in heaven right now, you're gonna see angels singing, "Holy, holy, holy is the Lord God Almighty, who was, is, and is to come." And they continue to do this forever, because they continue to do that. So when you this is worship, okay? So now when you read the Bible and you understand what worship was in the old days for the Tetragrammaton, and when people were worshiping in the true sense that in the sense that they actually used to go on top of a mountain and give a burnt offering, which was requisite, which was important. But then of course David had a different revelation, because he said that my own obedience is better than a burnt offering, which is true. So a burnt offering is a mindset, okay? So we have a different mindset due to our own understanding of this world around us. So people used to go on top of a mountain and give a burnt offering, because what happens is that the same way that the log turns into a flame, the flame turns into roast beef, is the same way that this dove is able to transcend into a different realm, because God is in the ethereal realm, which is not in this realm. So the only way that a person who was engaged in worship was able to show his reverence and his love, his appreciation to God, was through him burning this, and then it's turning into smoke, which is the third property of fire: light, heat, and smoke. So through the smoke, he was able to communicate, or to transfer what he was thinking, what he was doing to God. So this is like vapor. So it's like finding like a pore in the sky. And through this was the whole basis of worship, and it still is. So this understanding is also how Jesus says that the baptism of water, the baptism that's natural of earth, the baptism of air, which is the baptism of the Spirit, and also there's the baptism of fire. So everyone has to go through the sun, and the sun is that ball of fire that gives us heat every day. So everyone goes through the sun, right? You go through the sun. There is no other way to God but through the sun. Right, through the sun. So through the sun, everyone burns through the sun, and then through that you're finer, and whatever is in your heart, if it's too heavy, then it will drop down, because you're like full of metal and iron and stuff like that. So that's not gonna burn, and that comes down. And this is why all of the money, like it's iron, the steel stuff, it doesn't matter. But then all of that is through the burning and through the purification. So fire is that purification, that black light. The black light is that purification. So, so I just been talking about this very, very, very interesting element, which is fire. The element of fire, which is within everything. And I really hope that you got this. And if you have to, just watch this video again and get all of the details about this. So thank you a lot for watching, and I'll see you soon.